Pluto revives our essential selves, and in doing so, begins the process of shedding the chrysalis that has allowed us to mature as we transition into a new state of consciousness. This process can be difficult to complete because a part of us is terrified of the unknown. Due to this fear, we remain inside the chrysalis, which with time becomes outdated, and sooner or later, because it didn't come out when it was supposed to, parts of our being suffer some kind of corruption, and by corruption I mean certain atrophy. Sounds ugly, right? Well, it's not for nothing that Pluto is related to what's deteriorated, to what's rotten. However, it's not Pluto that rots. What rots is not surrendering fully to the transformation process, so our self is corrupted along the way. But who can blame us? There are no transformation schools, especially during the first years of life. What is the reason for so much difficulty, of so much guilt, shame, and fear? In my opinion, we are programmed to evolve. The ability to reconstruct our essential geometry is a human quality that it seems we have come to develop and that is closely linked to free will. In fact, Pluto activates our compulsions, that is, the instinctive behaviors that arise almost automatically. Humans have to learn to get off of that ancestral egg that envelops us as soon as we are born, and that in some way arises to keep intact the geometry of our essential being. This is where the rebirth attributed to Pluto comes from. The question is, we will dare to spread our wings and fly into the unknown, or we will prefer to stay inside the chrysalis, protected forever? Without present examples of Pluto transit in Aquarius, and especially considering that Pluto transits are quite private, unless they happen in the angular houses, Alfred de Vigny, the French poet born in 1797, can give us an idea of the way of Pluto in Aquarius in the third house. What happens when Pluto transits the third house? Here we talk about mental processes, learning, teaching, and communication. If the third house is in Capricorn, we take communication and information generally very seriously. If Aquarius is also part of our third house, then the transit of Pluto in Aquarius will activate unusual parts of our perception, to which we may have paid little attention until now. Pluto's transit in Capricorn began in 2008, so for many, Pluto's transit through the third house has been going on for a while. In Capricorn, the transit of Pluto takes away with it moral rules and ambitions that don't correspond to our personal life. Pluto's previous transit in Capricorn began in 1762, during the development of the Industrial Revolution. Those who have the third house in Capricorn have had the opportunity to observe to what extent their perspective have been conditioned by thought patterns strongly linked to productivity. Perhaps they have been reviewing the extent to what they learn, what they teach, and what they communicate has been focused on social objectives that no longer have relevance. Of course, this process may have aroused very deep fears of failing to do our duty, triggering crises in these areas. With Pluto, we talk about ancestral memories and even those from the soul. Although it may seem remote, if we are alive today, we also have ancestors who have been alive hundreds of years ago, who have experienced situations that created certain behaviors that have then been transmitted from generation to generation as a way of being. Also, if we get more esoteric, we can also consider experiences that are in our unconscious and that belong to past lives, which condition our present. With Pluto in Capricorn transiting the third house, we may have felt great pressure from the status quo through the information we receive, the studies we have followed, or what we communicate. Whatever happens, the goal is to connect with our internal authority in this matter. Our mind points to the concrete and to what has the possibility of achievement. If we surrendered to the energy of Pluto, we will see that the control to maintain what we have done up to now arises from a very deep fear that may have been related to duty towards something or someone other than ourselves. Pluto is stripping us of responsibilities that don't belong to us, and we need to dare to let them go. Once we achieve this, we can use our Plutonian force to materialize our own goals. When Pluto begins its transit through Aquarius, it starts a 22 months process where there is the potential to connect with a new way of seeing things. This can be of great help in freeing us from social conventions that still control our perception. If the third house is in the first degrees of Aquarius, then the entry of Pluto into Aquarius awakens the ancient memories of the period of liberté, égalité, fraternité, the US Revolution, and the beginning of the abolitionist movement, among other things. The third house in Aquarius tells us of a strong conceptual mind, focused on progress and freedom of thought. One of the possibilities of Pluto in Aquarius is that we feel pressure from our peers to follow a certain ideology. We can also feel possessed by an idea or a great desire to study our own mind and free ourselves from archaic concepts that don't allow us to see the future. We are certainly going to focus our minds intensely on progress and innovation. The 22-month period in which Pluto enters retrograde, where it moves between Capricorn and Aquarius, continues to activate our second house until November 2024. This helps us see more objectively patterns of behavior that keep us flying very low due to wounds in self-esteem. In this way, we can complete the process of regeneration of our personal values that began when Pluto entered in the second house, when the second house is in Capricorn.